Skinwalker Ranch, a recorded anomaly. What you are about to hear is not for entertainment. This is an account of real events. Every detail included in this account is found either in the statements of eyewitnesses, official reports, or scientific investigation files, where conclusions remain open to this day. This is the account of a place where knowledge ends and mystery begins. This is the account of Skinwalker Ranch. The year was 1994. That summer evening in Utah's Uinta Basin was magical for Terry and Gwen Sherman. Their old pickup truck stopped, and before them lay the vast green expanse of nearly 512 acres. With their 2 children, they named it Goulding Ranch. The first few weeks were like heaven. The children's laughter echoed across the open land. Terry stayed busy building new fences, and Gwen admired the scenic views from the windows of their house. But from the very second month, a subtle tension began to be felt in the atmosphere. It wasn't fear, but an unsettling apprehension. Gwen would often feel, lying in bed at night, that someone was watching her from the other side of the window pane. Their dog, Max, a trustworthy German shepherd, would suddenly start growling for no reason in the middle of the night. He wouldn't look towards the window, but rather at the very center of the house, towards the floor, his lips drawn back, teeth bared. When Terry would run outside, he would find nothing, except for that smell. This smell had now become a part of their home, like an old damp wall, rotten leaves, and the sharp taste of an electrical short circuit. The first major surreal event happened in a bitterly cold November night. Terry was returning from town. As soon as he stopped the vehicle, the cold air cut through his cheeks. Then his gaze got stuck upwards. On the edge of the eastern hill, among the stars, was an object. It was an orange sphere, its glow slowly pulsating, as if it were breathing. Then, with absolute precision, that sphere began moving towards him in a straight line, forming a thin, visible, laser-like beam. There was no hurry in its motion, just a decisive intent. Terry's heart skipped a beat. The sphere came to a stop about 100 yards from him and hung there. In those moments, Terry heard a strange sound, a low, deep rumbling coming from below, as if a distant gong was being struck, emanating from the ground beneath his feet. After about 30 seconds, the sphere shot upwards without a sound, so fast it was as if it had been snatched into space. That night, their son Jake was burning with a high fever. He kept tossing and turning and whispering, "Mom, that shiny man is back. His arms are long. He's coming towards me." After this, the end of normal began. Gwen would often feel during the day that someone had just passed by her ear, calling her name. The voice was so clear she would turn to look, but the room would be empty. Small things started disappearing. And then came the day when Lauren's favorite stuffed rabbit was found the next morning on the sill of the highest window on the porch, covered in dew droplets. It seemed as if some invisible entity was playing a strange, frightening game with them. The temperature on the night of March 12th was below freezing. Just after midnight, a scream awoke Terry. It wasn't Max. It was a human, pain-filled scream that came from the darkness outside and was abruptly cut off. Terry grabbed his rifle and jumped outside. Max was lying on the ground near the fence, just trembling, his gaze fixed at the darkness 10 yards away. And there, what he saw was beyond all his understanding. Later, in a trembling voice, Terry described, "It was a wolf, maybe, but its size, it was impossible. Its back was reaching above the 6-foot-high fence. Its fur was thick and brown, but its eyes, they weren't yellow. They were yellow light, 2 glowing points that held an awareness and intelligence no animal could possess. Those eyes were looking right through me. The creature slowly lowered its head, and a sound emerged. It wasn't like a dog's growl. It was a terrifying blend of many sounds, a deep rumbling, the sound of a large bird's flapping wings, and somewhere far, far away, a fragment of a human whisper. Terry, despite his training from his service in Vietnam, raised his rifle in terror and fired. The sound echoed. The bullet hit directly near the creature's shoulder, but it made no difference. The creature merely shook its head. A second shot, a third. Every bullet hit its mark directly, but not a single hole appeared in its fur. No blood, no cry, no recoil. This was a violation of the laws of physics. Finally, the creature gave Terry one last long look, turned, and slowly dissolved into the darkness, like a puff of smoke merging into the air. Only that same old metallic and damp smell remained, and a useless rifle in Terry's hands. The scene the next morning was like a horrifying work of art. Their healthiest cow, Daisy, was lying in an open field. At first glance, she seemed to be resting, but upon closer inspection, the truth emerged. Both of Daisy's eyes were cleaned out to their depth. An attempt had been made to leave the eyelids intact. In place of the eyes were clean, round, almost smooth-edged pits, as if a perfect cylinder had been extracted. Her tongue, from root to tip, was gone with the same precision. And the most shocking thing, not a single drop of blood was on the ground, the grass, or her fur. The marks of death were so clean they resembled a medical operation, but no such technology was possible in an open field in 1995. Dr. Henderson, the veterinarian with 30 years' experience, was at a loss for words. This is something else. This isn't surgery, it's extraction. And extraction without blood, without struggle, it's unknown. The police found no footprints, no tire marks, nothing. It was as if Daisy had been lifted into the air, taken to a sterilized chamber, worked on, and placed back. It was repeated. A second cow, then a third. Every time the same pattern. Eyes, tongue, sometimes reproductive organs, removed with surgical cleanliness. Sometimes the grass around the carcass would be wilted or burned in a geometric pattern. Fear was now woven into their daily routine. The children didn't talk at school. One morning, Gwen saw that on the inner surface of her bedroom mirror, without any touch, marks of inverted writing had formed. Symbols like Latin or Greek, but none she could recognize. And that mirror had become so cold that water droplets had frozen into ice flowers, even though the room was warm. Terry now began seeking answers in local history. One day he met an elder from the Ute tribe whom people called Old Man Hawk. Hawk took them to his modest home. His eyes held not fear, but a deep, calm solemnity. "Your land," he said, his voice like the rustle of dry leaves, "is not just land, it is a junction. We used to call it the place where worlds rub against each other. Sometimes that rubbing creates a crack." "Skinwalker?" Terry asked. Hawk smiled, a sorrowful smile. "Skinwalker is a Navajo thing, a rare evil power, but what you are seeing is probably older than that. Here, our ancestors told stories of shadow people who could take the form of stone and air. They were neither good nor bad, they were just curious, and they fed on fear. Your fear calls them, your curiosity shows them the way." He told an old story of a battle. It is said that a wounded Navajo shaman, in his last breaths, poured his pained soul into the land. He laid a curse or perhaps an invitation. He said, "May this land never know peace. Whoever dwells here shall meet those who live beyond the darkness." Perhaps your house is built right over that ancient crack. This information was a piece of the puzzle for Terry. It wasn't reducing the fear, but giving it an historical and cultural context. What they were fighting was perhaps not of yesterday's origin, but centuries old. By 1996, the Sherman family's courage had given out. Their story caught the attention of Las Vegas billionaire and aerospace entrepreneur Robert Bigelow. Bigelow immediately bought the ranch and sent a special team from his National Institute for Discovery Science. This was science's first organized confrontation with the unknown. The team was led by Dr. Coleman, a distinguished physicist who was initially skeptical. He turned the ranch into a laboratory. He installed triaxial fluxgate magnetometers that could record changes in the magnetic field at the nanotesla level, Geiger counters and gamma-ray spectrometers to measure radiation, infrared and full